underscore interior. Ripples underscore interior. He has a number of things over there. Just go and have a glimpse of the kinds of things that this young man is doing with things that would typically call waste. But Jeff, just tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, where are you coming from? How was your earlier years like? What have been your influences that have brought you where you are right now?
Thank you so much. This is a very beautiful question, and it rings a lot of memories in my head, you know, as a creative artist. So I'm the young guy who is very passionate about his found purpose, and ever since I found that, I've been consistent from beginning to end with passion and with so much fears for success in my purpose. Because I see success not merely as money, but the story you tell with your purpose. If it pays off in form of money, you are good. I'm a sculptor. I am an interior decorator by experience. And I'm Kwabena Yeboah.
That's an interesting elevator pitch he put out there, you know. And looking at some of the works you've done, I mean, and I see a lot of what would typically be called trash. And Nanaya, when you go to his page, you see tires, you know, tires that have become very smooth on the exterior surface, which exactly, that's the word, worn, and would typically be considered useless. And when you go to somewhere around the Aboseokan area, a lot of them get bent every day. And he's taking some of those things and use them for centerpieces. Nice weaving of raffia around them, make them very useful with glazing and all of that. What brought you to this point of purpose that you talk about? How did you identify that this is what you were called to do?
I always tell my friends that there are no accidents in life. So in the University of Ghana, I was blessed to be a member of Commonwealth Hall.
Vandal.
Truth stands.
Zime.
Sharp. So in Commonwealth Hall level 300, I was assigned to a room in H28. I remember that room just like yesterday. So I decided to make the room mine, and I started decorating the space. My work grew out of campus because people loved my work, and it grew out of campus. And I had this client who wanted a center table. After I had decorated his space, he wanted a center table. He wanted to change the center table of his space, and the kind of design he wanted. We roamed the street. We weren't successful. So around Fiesta Royale, somewhere
around
Jowulu, somewhere down there. I think in 2015 or 16. My memory cannot really serve me right. So that was when he was coming to drop me back on campus. We were not successful. Then I saw a car tire burning incident. So when I saw the fumes in the atmosphere, truthfully, I've never thought of doing anything with waste in my life. All I know is I wanted to be an interior decorator from beginning. So when I saw that, and I passed the joke to him that, Akwesi Bonsu, do you know that I can make a table from the car tires that they are burning? Jokingly, he took it serious, and he gave me the challenge. In 3 days, I gave him a very beautiful table. Then he requested, I think, 2 for his friends. And then it started going. But then I added it to my work as a freebie, because I love doing it. I love being creative. I love telling my stories in the things I do, because no one really understands me fully anyways. But if I put what I want to communicate in an art, it's easier for you to really pick it. So I was adding as a freebie for clients. Anytime at all I decor their space, either with wallpaper or whatever, I'll just add one table, and I will explain it to you why you are even getting that in the first place. Sometimes I use their own car ties. So with time, I saw that no, I have to change. You know, creatives in our heads, we get
bored easily.
I wanted to change, and people were doing it now as a business, and I was also doing it as a business. It was good, but I wanted to expand, and I realized that what I used to expand, I don't have it yet. Then one client, Madam Charlotte Osei.
Oh, former EC chairperson.
Yes. So I went to her program on Business Compass. I think somewhere in 2020 or 2021. She was interviewing me, and then they were mentoring me on.
That's on GH1 TV.
Yes, on GH1 TV, on Business Compass. So that was when Madam Charlotte. I'm so sorry. That was when Madam Charlotte requested me to do a planter for her. She loves plants, so she wanted me to do a planter for her.
On a mental plant?
Yes. Let's say a sculptor.
Okay.
Right. Sorry, me say a sculptor. A sculpture.
Yeah.
For planters, something like that. She wanted to plant
something in
it. So
Nanaya, at least we've identified someone who has similar likings as you do.
Well, I mean, I don't know that my taste is anything like as sophisticated. I feel like I've rather been given a promotion there because, Jeffrey, you're producing a work on a scale, and I'd say of an ambition that not many other people in interior decoration or design.
And sorry, Nanaya, sorry. I think he was making a point about yes. Madame Charlotte. So we'll let him finish on that day. We can look at that.
Thank you. So she requested for that very piece. And I genuinely told her, Madam, I don't know how to do this through her personal assistant because she's very busy. So through the personal assistant, I was like, Madam, I'm not ready. And she was pushing me, Jeffrey, I think you can do it. So do it. I was like, okay. Then I took it up. I had no idea what welding was, so I went to call a local welder, then showed him what I want to do. So day, night, I'm beside this guy doing this, doing that, and then finally I came up with something nice. So I called her that I'm ready, and I presented the items. She loved it. Since then, I fell in love with sculpturing.
Wow.
Because my planters were telling stories that I could understand, and when I explain to somebody, the person understands. I'm like, okay, maybe this is where I can focus my mind. This is where I'll be freer. That's the easy way to communicate through art.
But you said you were at University of Ghana. What were you studying?
University of Ghana. I was studying economics, information studies, and peer pressure made me drop theater art, which I terribly regret.
Were you one of the people that they told you were studying dondology?
I wasn't told. I'm not one of those guys who are easily moved by people's pressure, really. I'm not, because I cannot take off myself, hardship wise. So I don't think anyone would. But by then, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I was doing. All I know is that I have to go to school. If I don't go to school, I'll become like the people that I always criticize. I have to go to school.
And you were admitted to the Department of Economics?
Yes.
And you were studying that with information studies, and then you dropped theater art along the way?
Unfortunately.
After first year?
After first year. Then I continued with economics
and information studies.
And I wish I did theater art.
So did you? Which did you major? Or you did a combined major?
I was trying so hard to even swerve that question because I have to go back to the university.
Oh, really?
Because way back when I was hustling, there wasn't any money to support myself in school, to buy food, to pay for certain things. And I'm a boy. The only good luck I had was that I found myself in Commonwealth. That was the only good luck I had in the university.
Why would you call you finding yourself in Commonwealth?
Because I was struggling. I was hustling. What to eat is a problem. But in Commonwealth, I can enter anybody's room. Charlie, you cook rice. Boss, you beg go. I beg halami some.
I beg I get shito, you get rice.
Yeah.
I get rice, you get shito.
Yeah, man. We are
rice
good.
Cook and ajike.
We are good. When next you also need my favor in similar sound, I also give it to you willingly. You get it? So that eased me up a bit, that took the burden of feeding off. But then I had to look good. I'm going to lectures. Although I'm hustling, I have to look good so I can communicate with people. If you move to anybody and the person goes back, it's not because they don't like you.
You're not giving the right vibe.
Exactly.
Because of how you're looking.
The senses of design, I know 5, and sense of smell is very, very serious, that we just take it for what it is. But by then I was hustling, so I understood myself.
Your Durant money was even a problem.
So I couldn't complete University of Ghana.
Wow.
In level 300, I just had to just back off and then focus completely on my purpose. Because I calculated the small money I had, realized if I buy raw materials and I handle this, I can learn this work easily and move. Later I can come back to the university and because I don't have anybody to answer to. I answer to myself. So I took that decision painfully. And then that was it. That's what has brought me here.
Wow.
It's a wonderful tale of self-determination and self-drive getting to you to where you are now, Kwabena. And I'm very glad that you took that leap into the unknown. I wondered what you think about the education system and how it works for people like you who have this talent and this skill for applied arts, because we now talk a lot about wanting to invest particularly in young people who have ideas for things that are business driven or have business potential, but are not about sitting at a desk and pushing paper and moving, signing things and getting up at the end of the day saying that I've achieved something, but actually about making things. Is it now that you're at Accra Technical University? I understand you've returned to full-time study now that have you established the business to the point where you've been able to return to full-time study?
So I think there's a mess up. I am not in school.
You're still not in school.
You're still not in
school. As we speak. I
Mm.
was in the University of Ghana until I left to pursue my purpose with the little resource that I had.
But essentially, you've acquired all the skills that you need to do your business now by teaching yourself. Where did you go to learn the craft? I mean, for example, you could have had an idea for a wonderful thing to do with repurposing of tires, recycling of tires, but creating something that is not only durable and beautiful, but is also safe for use in the home, it's not something that you just kind of do off the top of your head, however much driven you are by artistic motive in the way you are. So where did you go to pick up those skills that have allowed you to establish what you do, which is creatively driven as a business?
That's a very beautiful question. Thank you so much. So even though I was not in the university officially, I was in the university in my own official terms, because I realized the only thing I have to do is to learn. And university, the human part, it's a universal thing, university. So the human part, the human relations are also important. So if I'm able to add that to my business and learn from people, make good, genuine friends who will help me do what I do, who will continue pushing me, get good mentors. I have a very, very good mentor. She's a sculptor artist. She and the husband are both creative artists in Ghana. That is Matilda Payne and Eric Payne. Right. These two have played fundamental roles in my upbringing as a creative artist. I've learned a lot from them, and that's how I learn. And I read a lot too. I try as much as possible to educate myself outside my circle, because as a creative artist, I'm telling stories, and my target market is not just in my country or just in Africa. I'm targeting the world. I'm telling stories. I don't know who would want to hear me. I don't know who would want to hear how loudly my silence is.
Your globalist vision, it's not limited by anything.
Not at all.
In relation to the Paynes you spoke about, they're playing an important role of being mentors to you. What did you do? Did you do like an apprenticeship with them? Did you just hang out at the studio? How did you learn from them?
So they were doing sculptor works, and then they were, Matilda and her husband are two in the art space, I'll say crazy people. You know, they anything they find their hands on,
they just go off at a tangent. They do their own thing
and go. And I love that free bird spirit that they had, and it was very, very nice. So anytime I go to them, I learn a little. I realize that the skill part, I have to do it myself, but their attitude, their timelines, the times they work, you could go to them at 12 a.m. and they are working, and it's like a normal day. They eat well, they dress well. So I learn all these, and then I add it to the natural bit of myself that I have, and then I create. But I've been doing it very low because I was a startup. Today I wouldn't call myself a startup because at least I have Asaase Breakfast.
Today you're a medium-sized business going global.
Yes, I'm really blowing big. I'm sure because I have worked hard and prayed, and I know God is going to do this. I know I'm going to do it as well with work.
And I mean, I'm looking at some of the other works that you've created, and I'm wondering how are you? Do you make money? Do you make some good money out of? Do people patronize it?
I have a friend called Crystal Anthony. She's a painter. She paints with her fingers. Very weird. She's very, very good. She's with Amwakon residency now. When I came back from a program I had in the US, she was the first person I went to, and I asked her, now I want to do this thing proper. I had already done my artworks, and these artworks you see, I exhibited them at the American Embassy on 4th May. So that's the first place. So I would say today is the second time it's even coming out. They are about 6. Yes, I did 6. So
wow.
Yeah.
We're honored to have the second premiere of your 2 works of art.
Yeah. So I would say it
pays you.
Pays. Yes. So yes. I lost thought. I'm saying that this lady told me that, Jeffrey, artworks, if you want to become an artist, then know that you're going to get hungry, because you wouldn't get the money just here and here if you don't do something else. And knowing myself, I cannot do something else in addition. I cannot employ myself somewhere else, unless around what I do that makes me happy. And I am an interior decorator and I'm a creative artist, so that is where I stay. So it doesn't really pay now, but I was working. I was building in silence.
Yeah.
So now I think it's going to pay.
It's going to pay.
Yes.
It's going to pay. And that's a very energizing story coming from a very energized young man who knows and has learned his way through the University of Life about how to go about things. And I mean, talk about energy and energizing. God has a question for you. And they say, what do you do when you run out of fuel in your vehicle? Do you just top up anywhere? Don't do that. I mean, let's introduce you to the Good Energy family and why you must be part. The first, Goil Super XP Ron 95 and Diesel XP are the best quality fuels with high performance in town for your vehicle. Also, the Goil Super XP Ron 95 is a high-grade fuel sold at same price as normal fuel. And the Goil Super, that's the Goil Diesel XP, is low in sulfur, making it an eco-friendly option for your vehicle. And with over 440 stations across the nation, join the family that rewards you with quality for an energized driving experience. Goil, good energy. Goil, yenga yendiem. And Kwaku, I mean, you listen to his story, and I could tell that you yourself, you would have a lot of questions for him about his own surgeon.
Questions here may break, but the first one, when you talked about the pains, you said that those two are crazy, and it got me thinking that creativity, crazy, they all start with C and R. Is there a fine line? I mean, how is it that you see a piece out of junk? Because I'm struggling to, the pieces you brought in, for example, I'm seeing a wrench that you've turned into a saxophone. and the other part, of course you put them together. At what point did a saxophone come to mind when you saw the pieces?
So, as I was saying, I tell my experience through stories, and I make sure that these stories impact people and, you know, shape their mind perhaps to something more beneficial. So, right as a kid, I've had a very rough life, but I've loved music. So, anytime at all my father beats me, I'll just run away from the house and have a safe place in one of the beer bars. There were a lot of them around Nungwa, so much at where we stay. So, and everybody knew my father in the area, and everybody knows me. So, the beer bar there, I'll go and sit there, and I'll listen
and enjoy
to music.
free music.
And I love history. I love going back. I love the whole understanding that if you don't know where you've been, you never know where you are.
Profound.
And you'll never see where you're going to. And I believe that there are no accidents. So listening to the music and all that whole high life jazz made me love Osibisa. And Osibisa plays very good saxophone. And I used to research on instruments because I find them very, very fascinating, especially the ones that I know made in Ghana, for example, like the saxophone. So I realized that it forms part of my childhood, forms part of my story, and even though it is a foreign instrument, it was able to find itself smoothly into our genre, and now it might be a bit very difficult to take it out. It plays so well in an orchestra. So stay in the orchestra as a person when you buy it or when you see the item. Feel that you have to be in the orchestra. Don't try to leave the orchestra. Play yours. If you are a creative person, continue to be a creative person. If you love accounting, continue to do something with your accounting. Whatever you do, radio presenting, you love to sell it. When you're on the streets of Accra, you wake up around 4 to go to work. You see a lot of people on the road. That should show you that in Ghana, people are not lazy. They want to work. Direction is a problem.
Just some very profound words from you, Jeffrey. When you make the pieces, are you finding that there's a better appreciation of what you do outside of our borders? Because in conversations with a number of artistic people, they tend to, give the impression that the uptake of art is only sort of growing in Ghana, but they tend to get a lot more interest and patronage from people outside of the country.
Well, with my little knowledge about the art space that I even started now, because now I have the time to do my research, I've seen that there are a lot of good artists in Ghana. Very, very good ones. Very, 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 very good ones that I look up to. And I think it's about target market, really, as artists. So it creates the marketing bid in a certain pool that doesn't go down. So it's okay for people to think that it's not that popular, but I think it is. With a little that I know Ghana Export Promotion Agency does a lot of good works, and I hope to visit them very soon and see how they can help me. So I think it's growing, really. I do not see any issue.
And there are some very good messages coming for you. Karim Ira Adams says, Jeffrey is an inspiration. Proud of your growth, Jeff. Nanaya Kwabena also comes through and says, keep up the good work, Kwabena. I mean, people are proud of you, a lot of people. Elite Kids International School, Sunyai is coming through and saying, nice works. And we've been blowing and blasting some of your works on our various social media platforms, in fact, on the Facebook stream. But what would you say has been the biggest challenge that you've had to deal with when you decided to go this path, and how have you managed to go around it?
I love my father very much. I love my family. I love people around me. I love to make everybody around me very happy and very okay. So when I decided to step out of school and continue my passion with the little resource that I had, it was very painful because I know they'll be disappointed. Why? Why? And I didn't want them to attribute it to anything else aside my truth. And when I tell you my truth, when I tell you that, Charlie, my school fees, I no go fit pay, I've put you in a problem. You are now thinking about it. Now it's your burden. Anytime you see me, you know that I don't have school fees, knowing very well that you cannot help me. So if you can't help me, then I wouldn't even discuss it. I talk to myself. But that feeling of they thinking that, oh, this guy, he had a lot of good stuff. He was something, but Charlie now see. But I realized that it's time. So I've endured the pain. There are a lot of my friends who will be maybe very, very happy today. Maybe they might understand. Yes.
This is a very touching story. And I could tell how you paused and you had to really think about it, because it really drew a lot of emotions from you. And that's clearly someone who seeks to please the people around him. I mean, make the people around him happy, your parents, your family, your friends. And if nothing for nothing at all, with hindsight, it's paying off. And you are still very much bent on going back to school, correct?
Oh, yes. Yes.
So if you get the opportunity, you go back almost immediately, or you are seeking to get yourself established to a certain point before?
So the truth is, I was building myself. So I made sure that where I'm building myself without the education part, I would make sure it's good enough that when I'm ready, any school that I thought that I want to go to, I can go and then further it very, very well. So I've never had any thought of not going back. The time is now and it's due. So once
you're going back to school.
Oh yes, I should be going.
What do you want to go back to do? Or you want to go and complete your program that you were on?
In my heart, I wish I will go to an architectural school. I wish I could go and read architecture.
You can go to KNUST.
In my heart. Yes.
Today is the birthday of Professor John. Is it Offei-Addo?
Yeah.
Yes. And today he turns 95. He's the pioneering head of department at the Department of Architecture at KNUST. And I'm sure it will be a good time to connect the two of you. Maybe you learn a few things. He may connect you to a few people. And I think this can only get better. And MC Kofi the Cassative comes through and says, Chief. Bekwin Manasseh says, Masa, you be killer. And I mean, everybody is excited about your progress, the kinds of works you've done over the period, and we are very proud to be associated with you. And thank you so much for gracing us and accepting our invitation to join us on the Asaase Breakfast Show. Jeffrey Kwabena Yeboah, thank you so much. And that's how we wrap up our show. I mean, it's unfortunate. There's a lot more we all want to say. So much more. Abraham Adair comes to and says, I think Jeffrey came from